fine. Okay, we're going. Section 1-4, item number 11. Okay, so question number 11. These are ones that, number 11 is definitely one that we did something like this in Algebra 2. So, turn this a little bit. Okay, so 1-4, number 11. Okay, so solve by factoring. So we have 75x squared plus 35x minus 10 equals 0. Okay, that equals 0. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You guys remember from Algebra 2? That's a good thing, okay. And there is a common factor. We can factor a 5 out. Okay, 5 goes into all of those. So 5 times 15x squared plus 5 times 7x minus 5 times 2. Also from Algebra 2, you guys should know there's how many solutions to this problem? 2, because it's second degree. It's going to be two answers. We ignore this 5, 15x squared. It's either 15x and 1x or 3x and 5x. I taught you in Algebra 2, pick the ones closest together. I told you guys about a week and a half or so ago, that sometimes you pick the ones farther apart if these numbers are drastically different, and that's kind of subjective, okay? I mean, are 2, 7, and 15, would you say drastically different, or they're all kind of in the ballpark of each other? I think they're pretty close. So let's try 3x and 5x. It might be 15 and 1, though. I really don't know. To make a negative, it's a plus and a minus, or a minus and a plus. I don't know which one it is, and it makes a difference because our first terms are different. So I'm going plus, minus. And the only way to multiply to make 2 is 1 and 2, and it makes a difference, so I put them. I'm going to put 2 and 1. Hey, I'm a good guesser. We check our outers, we have negative 3x. We check our inners, we have positive 10x. Together, that's 7x, and that's what we want. So our answers, and please speak up if you don't see this, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but these are ones that you really should be able to just say the answer is this right now, and if you can't, please either ask me now or ask me if you don't want to be embarrassed. I'm not going to embarrass you, but if you just don't want to speak up, ask me at a different time. The two answers are negative 2/3 and positive 1/5. Take the opposite of this over that, the opposite of this over this. And those are our two answers. Yes, sir?
Can I go to the bathroom?
Sure. Question on number 11. Okay, that's one that we would have done in Algebra 2, definitely. Let's look at number 13. This is not one we would have done in Algebra 2. Okay, so number 13, it says 2x over x plus 3 plus 1 over x minus plus 2 equals negative 4. I'm going to factor x squared minus 4 to x plus 2, x minus 2. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a common denominator everywhere. We talked about this last week. When you have common denominators everywhere, you can just cross off your denominators when you're all done. You can just ignore them, okay? So my common denominator is x plus 3 times x plus 2. We already have an x plus 2. We already got that. Times x minus 2. So I'm going to put 3 fraction bars with x plus 3, x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay. Okay, I did write that right, didn't I? X plus 3? Yep. Okay. All right, 2. Make an x plus 3 and an x plus 3, x plus 2, x minus 2. We're going to times by x plus 2, x minus 2. But looking back at our worksheet, we know x plus 2 times x minus 2 is x squared minus 4. So I'm just going to times those together right now, then times by 2x. Okay, so again, this times this is that. So we take 2x times x squared is 2x3. 2x times negative 4 is negative 8x.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Well, the equal doesn't match. Like 13 doesn't match. Like negative 14, I think.
Oh. I started 13 and then I moved on to 14. Whoops. I'm sorry. I'm glad you guys stopped me now instead of running all the way through it. Yeah, I started out writing 13, then I jumped down to 14. Let's start over. I was wondering, man, this x to the third, that's going to be an interesting one. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you for stopping me. All right, let's actually write down number 13. 2x over x plus 3. That part I had good. Then we have plus 5 over x minus 4. I'm going to make it 4 over 1 equals 18 over, I'm going to factor an x out of x squared plus 3x, so x times x plus 3. Okay. That looks a little better now. Our common denominator, well, we have an x plus 3, so I wrote that down. We talked about this last week. I want to make sure you haven't forgotten it. I have an x right here. I mean, does x plus 3 cover the x?
Yeah.
It looks like it would. I mean, I see all this here, but how do you get from an x to an x plus 3? You add 3. You got to do it by multiplying, okay? So no, that's something different. So we have an x. Is 1 covered here? You don't see it, but there's a 1 there. If you really want to put a 1 there, go ahead. Then x plus 3, we already have that, okay? So our common denominator is x plus 3 times x. Okay? All right, so to make x plus 3x, we times by x. Let's times the top by x, you have 2x squared. To make x plus 3x, we times by x plus 3. So 5 times x plus 3 is 5x plus 15. To make x, oh crap, I'm screwing up big time, aren't I? You guys see what I did there too? Hopefully you didn't do the same thing. I should have moved this over. Sorry about that. I'm having problems. It's Monday. Jeez, we definitely should have a snow day. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully you guys left a space. If not, I'll give you time to erase and move it over. Luckily, the next couple of questions, next 3 questions are really, really, really simple. Next several questions are really simple. Okay, then to turn a 1 into an x plus 3, we times by x plus 3. So we're going to times this by x plus 3. Well, we'll do 4 times x first. 4 times x is 4x. So 4x times x plus 3 is 4x squared. And 4x times 3 is 12x. Now, I take back what I said a few minutes ago. I said we're going to get a common denominator, then we just cross them all off. We shouldn't cross them off. We should ignore them for right now. Okay? There's a reason. Okay? So let's just do this. Let's ignore the bottoms. Okay? Let's clean up the top. So we have 2x squared minus 4x squared. That's a negative 2x squared. We have 5x minus 12x. That's minus 7x. And then we have 15 equals 18. We're ignoring the denominators. We didn't cross them off. We're ignoring them, though. Okay, then we should subtract 18 to each side to make it equal 0. To do that, we have negative 2x squared minus 7x minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to do something else here before I factor this thing. Some of you might look and say, I don't like how it's all negatives. I don't really care that they're all negatives. What really bothers me is when the first one's negative. Okay, you want your first one. You know, the other ones, I'd rather have positives than negatives, but the first one really needs to be a positive. So I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1, which just changes all the signs. So 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. And again, that's nice that it makes everything nice that it makes everything positive. But what we really care about is just that the first one has to be positive, okay? Let's factor this thing, if it does factor. 2x squared is 2x and x. To multiply and make 3 is only 1 and 3, and it matters where I put them. I'm going to guess 1 and 3. Okay. And then, let's check our outers and inners. My outers are 2x times 3, that's 6x. My inners are 1 times x is 1x, together that's 7x. And that's what we want. So, it looks like our answers are negative 3 and negative 1 over 2. Now, I was careful how I said that. I said it looks like our answers are negative 3 and negative half. Are they?
Yeah.
Why? What's the answer?
0.
Not 0.
Well, you gotta put the
Did you multiply
denominator back on then.
Okay, well, okay, yeah, you definitely need to look at the denominators. Yeah, what?
to make it all positive? What did you do to make
Multiply everything by negative 1.
Can you cancel the x plus 3?
No, I can't cancel anything. But you're on the right track when you say that's why we can't cancel the denominators. They're there still. If they weren't there, we'd be done, and those would be the answers. I'll tell you right now, it's not negative 3. And we didn't make a mistake. What's wrong with negative 3?
Oh, because,
What happens when you plug it in there? Makes 0 what? Where? In the denominator. I probably can't do that. There's 2 things x can't be. X can't be negative 3 or 0. We found out it was negative 3. That's not possible. So now, is there no solution? No, there's a solution. Negative 1/2. Where's our mistake at? There wasn't one. We didn't make a mistake. But negative 3 is not allowed. That's why you can't, if there were no denominators, then you could have negative 3. Okay? All right. You gotta check your answers, okay? Okay, let's try a few more. Let's try some easier ones. 15. There's more than one way you can solve this question. Okay? If you really wanted to, you could. I'm going to do this. If you really wanted to, you could subtract 9 to each side. I would just watch for a second here. That's not the way we're going to do it, okay? You can subtract 9 to each side. Just watch. That way it equals 0. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's a difference of squares. That's 5x, and that's 3. So that factor to 5x plus 3, 5x minus 3. So your answer is to be negative 3 over 5, and positive 3 over 5. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's what you could have done, though. A little bit quicker way of doing it is this. That's a square, that's a square. You know what you do to each side? Square root. But when you square root, you got to put the plus or minus symbol. So square root, plus or minus. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of x squared is x equals plus or minus square root of 9 is 3. Then divide by 5. So your answers are positive 3/5 and negative 3/5. I don't care which way you do it, but the second way is a teensy bit quicker. And the reason why I showed you the second way is that's the way we're going to do the number 17 is the second way I showed you a second ago. We good for 17? Or on to 17? Okay, number 17. This one is so easy, students struggle with it. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to tell you right now the answer's in the question. Okay? I'm going to solve this one the way I did right here. I'm going to square root each side. Square root this side, square root this side. These cancel. X minus 3 equals. And what's radical 17?
A weird number.
Well, what is it?
Radical 17.
Radical 17. If it was radical 16, you'd say 4. Radical 17, and you could say it's like 4 point something. I don't want an approximate answer. I want the exact answer. The exact answer of radical 17 is radical 17. I forgot something though. Plus or minus. And we got one last thing to do. Add 3. So x equals, put that 3 out front. 3 plus or minus radical 17. So you have your two answers. 3 plus radical 17 and 3 minus radical 17. If you want approximate answers, the approximate answers are right around 7-ish and negative 1. And you don't need to write that down though. Where did I get 7 from? And what's the square root of 16? 4. So square root of 17 is a little more than 4. So 3 plus a little more than 4 is a little more than 7. And 3 minus right around 4 is like negative 1-ish or so, right around negative 1. But those are approximate answers, not exact answers. All right, number 19. Quadratic formula. Made you guys memorize that in Algebra 2. Hopefully you still remember. That's one that, even after you get out of Algebra 2, that's one that you really should still have memorized. If you remember from the quadratic formula from Algebra 2, the thing that's nice about the quadratic formula is it always works if it's quadratic, okay? What stinks about it is kind of long, okay? And you could try to factor this one, but you should be able to realize pretty quickly that this doesn't factor, okay? It starts off with a 1. So give me two numbers that times to 2 that add to 4. There isn't one. There's only one way to multiply to 2. 1 times 2. And that was going to add up to 4. So that doesn't factor. That does not factor. If you want to solve that by factoring, good luck. It doesn't. Okay? And if it doesn't factor, that's going to tell you that these answers are going to be ugly, okay? And that's okay. So, in case you forgot the quadratic formula, it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. Whenever we have our next test in another 3-4 weeks, whenever it is, I don't know when it's going to be. I'm not going to give you that. That needs to be memorized. If you forgot it, memorize it again. Okay, that's one that you really need to know. Okay. It's like the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared is c squared. That's one you should have memorized, okay? Remember Hero's formula from trigonometry? This one right here, radical s, s minus a, s minus b, s minus c, and s is 1 over a plus b plus c. You guys remember that? Is that one that you think you have to have memorized the rest of your life? No, that's not that important. I mean, I'm not saying, it's nice to know it, but, you know, that's one that you don't need to necessarily know. The quadratic formula, you need to know that one. So on this one, a, b, and c are 1, 4, and 2. And be careful here. I see students in Algebra 2 do this from time to time. They'll say that like A is 1 and B is 4x and C is 2. You know what A, B, and C are? This is so easy, students struggle with it. You know what A, B, and C are? They're numbers, okay? They're just numbers. Don't plug variables in to the quadratic formula, okay? So we plug them in. The opposite of B is negative 4. B squared is 4 squared, which is 16, minus 4 times A times C is 1 times 2, which is 2. Over 2 times A, 2 times 1 is 2. Clean this up. I'm going to skip a step here. I wouldn't do this in Algebra 2. Make sure we times first. 4 times 2 is 8. 16 minus 8 is 8. Okay, don't do 16 minus 4 first. Do 4 times 2 first. Okay. 8 simplifies. Be careful. Radical 8 is not 4. 4 times 4 is not 8. Okay. But it does break up into radical 4 times radical 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And radical 4 is 2. So 2 radical 2 over 2. Radical 8 is radical 4 times radical 2, and radical 4 is 2, so 2 radical 2. And we can simplify this one more time. Be careful, we haven't talked about this year, but we did talk about it in Algebra 2. 2 goes into 4, and 2 goes into 2. Can I also have 2 go into that 2? No, because that's in a radical, and that's not. Why am I allowed to have 2 go into each of these? Because none of those are in radicals. So divide by 2, you have negative 2. Plus or minus, divide by 2, you have 1 radical 2. Divide by 2, you just have 1. So negative 2 plus radical 2, and negative 2 minus radical 2. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, we're going to get no farther than number 29. We got some easy ones coming up here. I think when we get to number 21, I think 21 is a stupid question. The instructions are stupid. It says use the quadratic formula to factor the expressions, okay? To me, you use the quadratic formula when it doesn't factor, okay? Does 21 factor? Well, if you read the instructions, it tells you, does it factor? It has to. It says use it to factor it, okay? It factors. They're telling you to factor. So rather than use the quadratic formula to factor it, just factor the thing. I don't know why they're having you use a quadratic formula. So x squared plus x minus 30. And this one should factor very, very, very quickly. X and x. Last term's negative, so plus and minus. How do you times the negative 30 and add to 1? It could be 30 and 1. How else? 2 and 15. 3 and 10. 5 and 6. Remember, one of them's negative. How about negative 5 and positive 6? Those add up to 1, they times the negative 30. Okay. 12x squared minus 16x minus 3. Okay. So, to make 12x squared, it could be, this one's kind of a, this could be a yucky one, okay? And what I mean is, it's gonna factor, because it says the instructions it's gonna factor. But to multiply and make 12x squared, 3x and 4x, 2x and 6x, oops, sorry, 1x and 12x. Which one is it? I'll be honest with you, I don't know. And is this 16 significantly different than the other ones? It's pretty darn close to 12. Is it close to 3? It's a little far away, I don't know. I'm going to try 3x and 4x first. I really don't know. Honest to God, I do not know how this factors, at least not yet. We're going to guess 3 and 4, though. Okay? Last term's negative. Now, this is nice because there's only one way to make 3. Okay? I'm guessing plus and minus because it's a negative. And I'm guessing 1 and 3. Okay, totally guessing here. We'll see if it works. We check our outers. Our outers, when we times, is negative 9x. My inners, when I times them, we have 4x. Together, that's a negative 5x. That's not what we want. Does that mean 1 and 3 is out? No. I haven't shown you this, and I did not show you this in Algebra 2. Should I switch them? In Algebra 2, you'd say, yeah, we should switch them. It's a waste of time on this one.
It's just gonna switch.
No. Here's why it's a waste of time. Is there a common factor out of all three of these besides 1? So something like that goes into 12, 16, and 3 besides 1. Anything going to 12, 16, and 3 besides 1? No. If this was right, does this or this have a common factor? Is there a common factor of 4x minus 1? No. How about here, 3x plus 3? Yeah, what's a common factor? What goes into 3x and 3? 3. I could have factored a 3 out. If I could factor a 3 out, I could have factored a 3 out up here. Can I factor a 3 out up here? No. So that tells you 3 and 1 is not good. We tried 3 and 1, we tried 1 and 3. There's no other way to make 3. So what does that tell you about 3x and 4x? It's no good. It's not 3x and 4x. Let's try 6x and 2x. Okay. Again, let's try plus minus. And again, 1 and 3. Now, do you think it's this? And if you get this, great. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Do you think that's a possibility? Do either of these have a common factor? Does 6x plus 3 have a common factor, or does 2x minus 1 have a common factor? What does this have? What's the common factor of 6x plus 3? 3. We could have factored a 3 out, and we couldn't. If you couldn't at the beginning, you can't do it later on, okay? So it's not going to be 3 and 1. It might be 1 and 3. We check our outers. Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18x. 1 and 2 is 2x. Together that's a negative 16x. Oh, well, that's what we wanted. Good. I realized that was what it was. Now, if you got what I just showed you, they're great. If you didn't, just guess and check, okay? I'm just trying to show you different ways that you can, instead of just guessing and checking and just doing it blindly, trying to help you out.
Can I use the bathroom?
Sure. Okay. That's 23. Okay. That's 5 to 7 to 9. 3 more to go at the most. Yeah, 3 more. These are going to be quick ones. 25. We have absolute value of 3x minus 2 plus 3 equals 7. Okay, we have not solved absolute value questions since at the beginning of Algebra 2. Any idea how we're going to solve something like that? First step's easy. You learned it back in 6th grade probably. What are we going to do first? Subtract what? 3. Why are you doing that? Perfect. Okay, the absolute value of 3x minus 2 equals 4. Okay, do me a favor here, okay? I ask this every year, and I don't know what it is. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, and I get it. Sometimes I explain things and I confuse people. I get